The cleansing of the temple that we read today is in all four of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which we read today. So it's very well attested and had a meaning, obviously, for all four of the Gospel writers. And they included it. John, however, apart from Matthew, Mark, and Luke, tells about the cleansing of the temple at the very beginning of his Gospel, as if to set the whole thing up as a kind of a lens through which you tell something at the beginning, like the prologue or the first, to let people know how they're supposed to look at something. And that's what so he tells that Jesus did it at the very beginning, where Matthew, Mark, and Luke say it was one of the last signs before his death and resurrection. And normally, I mean, when we read it, being Americans, I guess, we always focus, that must have been the violence of it all, the anger of it all. Well, maybe there was violence, maybe they're turning over the temples, I guess you could say, driving out sheep and goats, I guess, yeah. Maybe there was anger, John doesn't say it. But I guess that's for ourselves, in a culture with so much violence and anger, that's what we focus on. But that wasn't the focus of John. I don't think he cared about that. I don't think he thought Jesus was angry with Matthew. Maybe Matthew, Mark, and Luke focused on it, not John. John rather wants us to hear below. He wants us to see this sign for what it really is. That this is a game changer. That in Jesus there's something really new. He drives out from the marketplace. I mean, Jesus wasn't the first one to remark about this. Jeremiah did, Zechariah did, Malachi, all of the ancient prophets all talked about the marketplace at the temple, right? I mean, the money changing and stuff. I mean, he wasn't the first one to notice that this was out of whack with worshiping God. But Jesus saying, look, this is the temple. You destroyed this temple, and it'll be raised in 3 days. In other words, he's saying, there's something new here. It doesn't have anything to do, for example, with this church building. It's got pretty windows, got a nice cross, got an altar made of marble, etc., etc. But for Jesus, that was not the important. It's the gathering of the faith community that believes in it. Of course, John is very realistic. You heard at the end, he says, Jesus did not trust himself to these people. He knew we are fickle, right? He knew you. He didn't need anyone to tell him about human nature. I mean, God doesn't. If we think we're amazed sometimes at what we are human beings do, imagine God who sees all and understands all. But what Jesus is saying is, look, it's not a matter anymore of animal sacrifice. That was the major way. Maybe if I sacrifice these dogs or these animals, maybe I'll be worthy of God. None of that. There's a new day coming in Jesus Christ. And it's not about having the right kind of coins, getting the emperor's picture off the coin so you can donate. Not about that. I don't think Jesus cared whether Caesar's face was on the coin or not. We're talking a new way. In spirit and in truth, he's going to say in the next chapter. Next chapter of John, I'm talking about. So John wants us to see, look, what should you expect in Jesus, us who are followers of him? A new, radical thing. It takes us beyond the petty consequences of this world, It doesn't have much to do with anger or violence. It has to do with coming to Christ, truly. In even the Ten Commandments from the first, you heard there, besides being the first three and the last 7, they have a lot to do with how we can serve God. Well, the last 7 are natural things. How do you keep a human comedy together, right? You can't be stealing. You can't be, lying. You can't run a society if everyone does that's a kleptocracy or that. But the first three, I know that there's one God and one God alone. Jesus would be fully in that. Not money, not animal sacrifice, not fame, not fortune. Me, a deeper reality. And a reality where the reign of God is within ourselves. So he would say, it's a shame we can't go to the next chapter and then the fourth chapter, because John he's going to tell Nicodemus, you got to serve me in spirit and in truth. In other words, let the Holy Spirit go within you. It's not a matter, really, of how many times you come to this church, or even how pretty it is, or as gorgeous the music is, or well the servers do, or brilliant the homily is. It's a matter of letting the Spirit, the one God alone, whose name you honor, whose adoration and day you're willing to serve. Those first three commandments, or as Jesus would say, this is the sign you're going to get. Rebuilt in yourself. So it's the perfect invitation for us to accept. And where does it start? It doesn't start here. This is nice. It starts in our hearts with the transformation that makes us a living sacrifice. Jesus said, destroy this temple. He's talking about, as you know, himself. Destroy this temple, your temple, and still we live. Why? Because of the promise of Christ. So it'll move us so far beyond this life, and it's within us. So in your prayer this week and in your acts of charity and kindness, and I suggest you really stretch yourself in prayer, perhaps stretch yourself in giving alms, stretch yourself in doing good. I think you're over here. And this will serve you. Okay? Try it. See what the Lord can do in your life.